Have you ever walked into a room or maybe seen a specific sign and just felt something almost, before you even really registered why?
Oh, definitely.
Maybe it was like the calming blue walls of a cafe or that bright red sale sign that just screams for attention.
Or even a stop sign, right? That bright red, it grabs you.
Exactly. It's like colors are constantly whispering to us, kind of influencing our moods and actions, and we often don't even realize it.
Hmm.
The artist Pablo Picasso once said, colors, like features, follow the changes of the emotions. And, well, as we're about to explore, he was definitely onto something.
He really was.
So today we're doing a deep dive into exactly how color affects our moods, our feelings, and even our physical responses in pretty dramatic ways. We've gone through a whole stack of sources to pull out the most important insights for you on how color influences your mind and body.
That's right. And what we're really digging into today is this field known as color psychology. It's basically the study of how different colors impact human mood and behavior. Yeah, it's a really fascinating field. It looks into everything from, like, subtle physiological responses, emotional reactions, and even how things like our age or cultural background shape all of that.
Wow.
So it's much more than just, what looks nice. It's about a direct link, often unconscious, between what our eyes see and how our body and mind react.
So let's unpack that a bit because it sounds a little abstract. How can a simple wavelength of light actually, change your mood or trigger a physical reaction?
Well, the sources really point to color being this incredibly powerful communication tool. It often bypasses our conscious thinking. It
Well,
can signal us to take action, it can sway our mood, and it can even kick off actual physiological responses, things like increased blood pressure, changes in metabolism, even eye strain.
that's wild. Like Rachel Goldman, a PhD, she noted how colors can truly impact our mood and influence our behavior.
Mm.
And she added something really insightful. Many times, it's the small things that can have the largest impact.
Exactly. It's amazing how just seeing a color can prime us for action or calm us down before we even really think about it.
And this isn't some brand new idea, right? I mean, the scientific study might be newer, but the concept.
Oh, not at all. While the, formal scientific exploration is relatively recent, this understanding goes way back. Ancient cultures, think Egyptians, the Chinese, they understood the power of color for a long, long time.
How so?
They used it in healing practices, what they called chromotherapy, and wove it into their spiritual rituals. They knew colors had an effect.
Right, chromotherapy. And even looking back, maybe a bit more recently, but still old, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, the German writer and scientist.
Yeah, back in 1810.
Right. In his theory of colors, he was already talking about colors having emotional qualities. He wrote that the red yellow gives an impression of warmth and gladness.
He did. Although he also had some, let's say, less universally accepted takes.
Yeah, like what?
Well, he rather bluntly called the color violet just unnecessary.
Unnecessary. Okay, maybe a bit harsh on poor Violet there. But the core idea of emotional links was there.
Definitely. And moving from Goethe's more philosophical observations to modern science, today's color studies bring in insights from neuroscience, cognitive psychology, even evolutionary biology.
So it's getting more rigorous now.
Much more. The key insight is that seeing color isn't just about aesthetics. It's a fundamental biological trigger. Our brains process color in ways that directly connect to our emotional and physical states.
How does that work biologically?
Well, color perception happens in the brain's visual cortex, right?
Right.
And from there, it influences emotions, heart rate, even hormone levels. Research shows, for instance, that red can actually increase heart rate,
Wow.
while blue generally tends to have a calming effect. Green is often linked with relaxation, maybe creativity too. And yellow can boost mood, but too much of it might cause some visual fatigue.
Okay, so diving into that emotional spectrum a bit more, you can really see how those biological triggers might play out day to day. We often group colors, right? Like warm colors, red, orange, yellow.
Mm-hmm. And those can evoke a whole range, everything from comfort and warmth to, surprisingly, feelings like anger or hostility.
Right, and then you've got the cool colors blue, purple, green, usually described as calm.
But they can also tap into sadness or maybe indifference. It shows even calming colors have a complex range.
It's not just one note.
Exactly. And each color, often across different cultures, carries symbolic weight. Red often means passion, excitement, love,
Yeah?
but also danger, right?
Sure, the warning signal.
Blue is frequently tied to wisdom, hope, reason, peace. Green, well, that's pretty obviously linked to nature, growth, freshness.
Makes sense.
Yellow can signify hope or joy, but also caution, think hazard signs. And black, while sometimes seen as cold, often conveys nobility, mystery, or sophistication.
What really struck me here was how universal some of this seems to be. There was this big 2020 study, almost 4,600 people across 30 countries.
Yeah, that was a fascinating one.
And it found really compelling universal patterns in how people link colors and emotions. Like, get this, 68% associated red with love.
Wow, that hot.
Yeah. And 52% linked yellow with joy. 51% connected black with sadness. The researchers even suggested these shared meanings might actually help communication across different cultures.
That's a significant finding, yeah. It suggests some deep, perhaps evolutionary common ground in how we respond to color.
But it's not always universal, is it? Because culture plays a huge role, too.
Oh, absolutely critical. Despite those universal tendencies, our feelings about color are also deeply personal. They're rooted in our individual experiences and, crucially, our culture.
Like the white example.
Exactly. White means purity, innocence, weddings in many Western cultures. But in many Eastern countries, it's the color of mourning, a complete opposite meaning.
That's a stark difference.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it highlights what researchers Andrew Elliott and Marcus Mayer pointed out, that surprisingly little rigorous scientific work has sometimes been done, often driven more by practical needs than pure science. So while we see patterns, context, personal, and cultural is everything.
Okay, so moving beyond just mood and aesthetics, it seems color can actually influence our performance or our well-being in some really surprising ways. You mentioned chromotherapy earlier.
Right, also known as light therapy or colorology.
Hmm.
And yes, it's still used today, often as a holistic or alternative treatment.
How does that work in theory?
Well, in chromotherapy, specific colors are thought to have specific therapeutic uses. Red, for example, is believed to stimulate the body and mind, increase circulation.
Okay.
Yellow is thought to stimulate nerves and purify the body. Orange is used for, say, lung issues and increasing energy. Blue is believed to soothe pain and illness. And indigo shades are even thought to help with skin problems.
Is there any modern research backing this up?
There's some exploration.
Yeah.
A 2020 study suggested chromotherapy might actually help combat compassion fatigue and even PTSD in ICU nurses. So there are modern applications being investigated.
But it's fair to say there's skepticism too, right?
Oh, definitely. Many mainstream psychologists view color therapy claims as potentially grossly exaggerated or maybe just temporary effects like a placebo. Plus, as we just talked about, those cultural differences are huge. So, yeah, it's not seen as a magic bullet by any means.
Got it. But even setting chromotherapy aside, there is other modern research showing color impacting us in unexpected ways.
Yes, absolutely. And some of this is quite startling. For example, studies have found that the color of a pill matters. White pills tend to be associated with greater pain relief,
Wow.
while red pills are linked more with stimulant properties, even if the pill itself is just a placebo.
Whoa, just the color changes the perceived effect?
It seems so.
Yeah.
And red, specifically, causes people to react with greater speed and force, which might be why it's often seen as advantageous in sports.
Okay, wait. That red pill thing is incredible. It literally makes you feel more stimulated. That's amazing. But you mentioned sports. Tell me about the uniform thing.
Ah, yes. This one's really interesting. It turns out, perhaps quite surprisingly, that players in black uniforms are actually more likely to receive penalties in competitive sports.
Get out. Seriously.
Seriously, it suggests there might be this unconscious bias at play, where referees or observers link the color black with aggression or maybe rule breaking.
That is fascinating. And talk about a bias if it's totally subconscious. Wow, so the color of a jersey could genuinely sway game outcomes just based on perception.
The evidence points that way. And here's another one that might hit close to home for a lot of people. Remember getting tests back in school marked up in red ink?
Oh, yeah. Not usually a good sign.
Well, one study with 71 U.S. college students found that simply seeing the color red before taking an exam actually hurt their performance.
Hurt their performance? How much?
Students who saw red beforehand scored over 20% lower on average than students who saw green or black before the test.
20% lower, just from seeing red first. That's
Whoa.
huge. It really makes you wonder what other subtle cues are messing with us all the time.
Exactly. These influences are everywhere.
So, okay, with all these subtle, powerful influences swirling around, what does this actually mean for us? For the decisions we make every day, from what we buy to how we decorate our homes or offices.
Yeah, it has a ton of practical applications. Color psychology is working on us constantly. Think about consumer behavior, for instance.
Okay, like shopping.
Right. Our color preferences heavily influence what we buy, and also the image that products or brands want to project. Think about cars. White might feel youthful or modern.
Hmm.
Black often signals power, luxury. Silver can suggest innovation, technology. Red often projects confidence. Blue implies stability, safety, think banks or insurance companies.
Yeah, I see that a lot.
Yellow can signal happiness or optimism. Gray feels subtle, maybe practical. Of course, other things matter hugely: price, features, even where you live, the climate. But color is definitely a silent salesman.
Okay, what about spaces, like interior design?
Big impact there, too. The colors in our rooms directly affect emotions and even productivity. Cool tones, blues. Greens, they generally promote relaxation. So you see them a lot in bedrooms, spas, hospitals, places you want to calm.
Makes sense.
Warm tones, yellows, reds, oranges, and sepulea woods. They create energy, stimulate conversation. Better for social areas, maybe living rooms, definitely restaurants.
Get people talking and eating.
Exactly. And neutrals, like white or gray.
Hmm.
They offer balance, professionalism. Very common in offices. And yeah, hospitals often use those light blues and greens specifically to try and reduce patient anxiety.
That's smart. What about work or school? Does it affect performance there too?
It seems to. In education and workplaces, color choice can influence focus and creativity. Blue and green are thought to enhance concentration and maybe problem solving. Good for classrooms or meeting rooms where you need focus.
Okay.
Red accents, used sparingly, can boost alertness and attention to detail. But too much red might actually increase anxiety or stress.
Right, that makes sense from what you said earlier.
And yellow is sometimes used in brainstorming areas because it's thought to spark creativity and enthusiasm. Some schools are actually experimenting with wall colors to see if it helps student engagement.
Interesting. And finally, back to sports beyond the penalty bias.
Yeah, there's more. Teams in red uniforms are often perceived, perhaps subconsciously, as having a psychological edge. Red is linked with dominance, aggression. Some studies even suggest referees might slightly favor red teams in really close calls.
Wow, really? That's a big claim.
It is, but there's research pointing to it. Conversely, blue and green surroundings might help athletes stay calm under pressure. And as we mentioned, those black uniforms, linked to aggression, maybe more penalties. So color matters on the field, for players and maybe even the refs.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly powerful, like color is shaping so much. But
Hmm.
is it really a straightforward science? Like, does red always mean X, or are there limits here?
That's a really important question. And the answer is no, it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all playbook. Color perception is massively influenced by culture, as we saw with white. Also, by personal preference, maybe you just hate blue. And even simple things like the lighting conditions in a room can change how a color feels.
Right, context matters.
Hugely. And many of the studies we rely on are done in very controlled lab settings. So how well those findings apply out in the messy real world, oh, that's sometimes debatable.
So we should be a bit cautious about applying it too rigidly.
Exactly. Zena O'Connor, who researches this at the University of Sydney, warns that, quote, many of these claims lack substantiation and may include factoids presented as facts.
Factoids presented as facts.
Okay.
Yep.
It's an area with huge potential, absolutely, but we need to be careful not to overstate things without solid real-world proof for every claim.
So it sounds like while we've uncovered some really fascinating insights and applications, there's still a need for more rigorous scientific research to fully get our heads around color psychology's total impact on behavior, productivity, safety, buying habits, all of it in every situation.
Precisely. There's still a lot to learn.
What seems undeniable, though, is that color is way more than just decoration. It's this vital, often subconscious force that's constantly shaping our emotions, our decisions, and, yeah, even our basic physiological responses.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. The next time you pause to choose an outfit, or you just happen to notice the color of some product's packaging, take a second.
Mhm.
Consider what subtle message that color might be sending you and how it might be, quietly shaping your reaction or your choice. The colors around you are always speaking, whether you're consciously listening or not.